is, and this is one of the things about Bob's Markets, OM. When you work in the theater, people have a real understanding of the collaborative nature of stuff. We're all working on the same show. We're all in support of the people on the stage. When you're working on a film, it's interesting, but it's interesting for a different reason. You're working your butt off, you're getting things set up, and then you're calling the guy out of the trailer. Whereas an actor on stage is right there while you're getting things set up.
Mm-hmm.
Much more intimate and much more, like I said, understand the collaborative nature of it.
What's your least favorite thing about being a stagehand?
The hours, I think. I mean, incredible. I was able to be the assistant soccer coach for one of my kids because we're working the hours normal people play at. So, you're not there for the evening, you can't be there for the evening practices, or a lot of times it's difficult to get there for the games during the day. So it's a really hard thing on a family. I got a strong family.
Yeah, that's the lead into the next thing is how does your family feel about your regular hours and whatnot?
Well, none of my children have gone into being a stagehand or a theater. I have a very strong wife who understands. I mean, we met in college, and she was a nursing student and went into nursing, but had been a costumer in high school, and also understood. And we, like I said, we met in the theater club in college and understood what was going on. It's very, if you come from the outside, it's very difficult to understand the time constraints. And even if you understand it, it can be difficult to deal with.
Mm-hmm. When you're asked what you do for work by people outside the industry, what do you tell them, and do you think they understand?
It's funny. I tell them, okay, I deal with the power, and I deal with the lighting, because people understand the shows are lit. They understand the light. And I deal with interfacing with the road crew and the local crew. And then they say, oh, do you get to see the shows? And I say, yes, 8 times a week from the side.
Very good. Very good. What's the longest call you've ever worked?
So the longest single day call I ever worked, I think, was 27 hours, which is actually low. There's guys who've done, 48 hours. They've been 2 days in a row.
Mm-hmm.
When you're doing, say, pre-Broadway production, you're working 8 o'clock in the morning till 11 p.m. or midnight, and it can be 6 or 7 days a week. When we did Legally Blonde, we had a big problem, and we were doing 7 days a week, 8 to midnights for, must have been a month.
What was the big problem?
The big problem was they had a 14,000-pound piece of scenery with what we call a live load on it. A live load is human beings. And went to, understand a counterweight system. You have a pipe out there, you have counterweight on there, you balance it so that one man can move it. You have to think about a 14,000-pound arbor. They removed what was in the house and put in this giant arbor, 14,000 pounds. There was another 4,000 pounds like within 3 or 4 feet. Within 3 or 4 feet of that, there was another 5,000-pound piece. And it took what we call the strong back, which is where the pulleys are attached at the top, and bent it. So we had to get motors, take the weight off, take all that 14,000 pounds of weight off. The carpenters laid it all out on the floor. We had to bring in hydraulic jacks and jack the beam back into position, and then bring welders in and weld, supports, which are still there in the Golden Gate. Weld supports in of square tube, 4-inch square tube steel to hold everything in position, and then reload everything and do it again.
And just for the record, who was the stagehand who discovered the problem?
It was Pat Ryan.
Actually, it was Paul Harris.
No, it was Pat Ryan.
I called you up to the grid and said you need to come up right now. I remember, ask Vince. You're misremembering. Anyway,
You might have called me, but Pat came to me as well.
it doesn't matter.
No. Ancient history.
You ever experience any substance or alcohol problems related to the job?
Oh, well, you have to remember, I've got a long career, and in the 80s there was substance everywhere. And it wasn't stagehands only, it was performers. We'd have traveling ballet companies come in, and dancers in that period, incredibly physically fit, incredibly working out all the time, you know, but also love to abuse their bodies. You know, I mean, you know, cocaine, alcohol, you know, whatever. But it's also a period of time we went through. You know, there were no AIDS, and cocaine was good for you. You know.
Yeah. If you weren't a stagehand, what do you think you might enjoy doing?
You know, I have a broad amount of interest. I could have been I was done with school when I got my biology degree, but I could have gone in that direction. I was at a point when I started getting work out of the union where I was also doing regular work as a production person on commercials. And I was very close to going that direction, but then I started getting work out of the union. So the stagehand stuff appealed to me.
And lastly, will you talk a little bit about your brothers and sisters here at Local 16 and the pool of talent we have?
Sure, I have heard said, and I agree with it, if you wanted to send a rocket to the moon, we could probably come up with enough guys from the local to figure that out.
That's good.
We really have a tremendous pool of talent. I also have heard said that we work on the aisle for misfit toys, too.
Would you consider that every stagehand is a character?
I would say that there are more characters in the wings than there are on the stage.
Thank you, Scott. All right, let's cut it there. Thanks, Scott. I appreciate your time.
Oh, sure.
You say, my name is Scott and I'm a stagehand?
My name is Scott, and I'm a stagehand.
Your last name, too. Sorry.
Let's do one more.
My name is Scott Houghton. I'm a stagehand.
Perfect. Thank you, man.
Yes. I got to. Oh, I'm not signing over. Are you kidding me? Kidding. That's what I said.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where does Eric Fedler live? Where's his booth?
No, I'm not one of
Hey, no problem.
How do I get tickets to this fucking shit? You're like, don't ask me.
I got nothing. Sorry.
Maybe I'll ask them.
I think they have less than we do. Sorry.
No, my husband built the stage, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he didn't get one.
Yeah, no, none of us get tickets.
I know.
Yeah, it's
He like built it.
amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Whatever.
Yeah.
We're talking about that in the documentary. Common misconceptions. What? Oh, yeah, duh. Sorry.
Sorry.
Where is it?